Today's lesson is on Chapter 9, Lesson 5, Applying Integer Operations. And it's going to be a fairly short lesson because it's really a lot of stuff that we've already covered in the previous lessons. So our learning intention, I can add and subtract positive and negative numbers, choosing appropriate operations for each problem and explaining my choice. And this is what we're focusing on this time, is that we're looking at problem solving. So you're given a problem and you need to decide, how do you figure out the answer to that problem? When you're reading a problem, you're looking for certain words to indicate whether you should add or subtract. Now, some problems you're going to end up doing a little bit of both, or it doesn't matter which one you do, you just change how you phrase it. But there's also some words in a problem that'll tell you that you need to add or that you need to subtract. We know that the answer to an addition question is a sum. So if you're seeing a question that's asking for the sum of two numbers, you know that you have to add. If you hear something about more, that may indicate that you need to add as well. With subtract, the word difference is the word that is used to indicate a subtraction, the answer to a subtraction problem, and less, obviously add, remove for subtract. These are some of the phrases or words that will indicate a particular type of operation that you need to do. Other words that may indicate either addition or subtraction, if you are asked to figure out the change between two numbers, that tells you you're looking for, it's another way of saying difference really, you're looking for the space between the first number and the second number. If you are asked for the total of two numbers, that's suggesting that you need to put those two numbers together, which is an addition problem. I want you to pause for a moment and write these terms down in your math journal, as well as, of course, our learning intention. And any other terms that you can think of that indicate either an addition problem or a subtraction problem. Now we're going to look at a problem and figure out whether we need to be doing addition or subtraction in order to solve the problem. One February morning in Saskatoon, the air temperature was negative 15 degrees Celsius. The wind speed was 20 kilometers per hour. By mid-afternoon, the air temperature had increased by 10 degrees Celsius and the wind speed had decreased by 5 kilometers per hour. Determine the change in the wind chill from the morning to the afternoon. And of course, for this problem, you're going to have to use this box that shows you how to calculate wind chill. I don't expect you to actually know this off the top of your head. Can you identify two words that indicate addition or subtraction in this particular word problem? Take a moment, write them down. We have increased here, which indicates we need to add, and decreased, which indicates we need to subtract. So in solving this problem, we can read through it and we can use our knowledge of what terms mean add and subtract to tell us some of the operations that we're going to need to do. We look here, it's the temperature, the air temperature that we're looking at. So we know that the air temperature was negative 15 degrees Celsius in the morning, and then it increases by 10 degrees Celsius. Increase indicates we must add, and then we've got positive 10. So this is one of the calculations that we're going to need to do. When we look at the next part of this, the wind speed had decreased by 5 kilometers per hour. Well, it started at 20 kilometers per hour. So we start with positive 20, and then it decreases, which indicates subtraction, by 5 kilometers. So we subtract positive 5, and we will have the wind speed. So up here is the temperature, and then here is the speed of the wind. Using any of the strategies that you have done so far, I want you to take a moment, write down these equations, solve them. I would like you to pause the video, and then we'll come back and we'll solve them together. You may have solved them using integer chips, you may have solved them using number lines, or you may have solved them using calculations. Calculations is what I'm going to do here. Negative 15 plus positive 10. My negative number is bigger than my positive number, and in an addition problem, I know that means that my answer is going to be a negative number. And then what I'm looking at is what is the difference between 15 and 10. The difference is 5, so it's negative 5 is my new temperature, and I'm going to write degrees Celsius because, of course, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the air temperature. So in the afternoon, the temperature was negative 5 degrees Celsius. The air temperature was negative 5 degrees Celsius, and I know that in the morning, the air temperature was negative 15 degrees Celsius. When I look at my other question, positive 20 minus positive 5, I'm used to doing these types of equations because throughout the schooling that we've done, we're used to dealing with positive numbers. 20 minus 5 equals 15. So my answer, and I'm going to put in the units because you always put in the units, in the evening, the wind speed was 15 kilometers per hour. In the morning, of course, it was where we started, 20 kilometers per hour. Now, I've done some of the calculations that I need to do in order to solve this problem, but this isn't actually what the question is asking, what the problem is asking me to do. The problem is asking me to determine the change in the wind chill from the morning to the afternoon. Now, in order to do that, I need to know what the wind chill is in the morning, and I need to know what the wind chill is in the afternoon. This is why I had to do these calculations for the for the afternoon, because I needed to know what the actual temperatures were. And then I can turn to my wind chill chart. So take a moment, find the wind chill in the evening, find the wind chill in the morning, and write down an equation and solve it for answering the actual question of this problem, what the change in the wind chill was between the morning to the afternoon. So when I look at my chart, I've got in the morning, I'm going to start with the morning, negative 15 degrees Celsius, so that's this row here, and 20 kilometers per hour, that's over here. I find where they intersect, and the wind chill in the morning was negative 24. And then I look at my evening, I've got negative 5 degrees Celsius, and negative 5 degrees Celsius is here. And I have 15 kilometers per hour, which is this one here. Sorry, that looks like it's 10. This one here. And I look where they intersect, and that is here, negative 11. Now, when the question said increased, I knew that I had to add. When it said decreased, I knew that I had to subtract. But when it's asking me to determine the change or determine the difference between two numbers, I can actually do this in a couple of different ways. I can start with negative 24 and subtract negative 11. And in this question, what I'm saying is that the morning was a certain amount colder than the evening. So negative 24 minus negative 11, I'm going to turn this into an addition problem because I find that easier. So that's negative 24 plus positive 11. Remember that we switch both the operation and the sign that follows it. Negative 24 plus positive 11. My negative sign is larger, so it's going to be a negative answer. 24 minus 11 leaves me with 13. So the difference is negative 13, or, and it's really important that I write this down, the wind chill was 13 degrees or 13 cooler in the morning than it was in the evening. Now, this may not be the way that you did it. This answer is correct, but there is another way of dealing with it, and that's to look, instead of starting with the morning and looking in the afternoon, it's to start in the afternoon and look to the morning. If I'm doing that, I'm starting with the evening wind chill, which is negative 11, and I'm subtracting the morning wind chill, which is negative 24. Again, I'm going to write this as an addition problem because I find those easier to do. Negative 11 plus positive 24. Now, in this case, my positive number here is the larger number, which tells me that my answer is going to be a positive number. And then I look at the difference between 11 and 24, and I know that the difference is 13. So my answer is positive 13. But you can't just leave it there. You have to actually put this in the context of what the problem is actually asking, which is why when you're doing problem solving, you need to write out a word sentence that describes the mathematical sentences that you have done in order to calculate the answer. So our word sentence in this one is the wind chill was 13 warmer in the afternoon than in the morning. Notice these words that I've used that indicate my positive and negative numbers. Cooler to indicate negative, and warmer to indicate positive. Both answers are correct. It just depends which way I'm looking at it. Am I starting in the morning and looking towards the evening? The morning was cooler than the evening. Am I starting in the afternoon and looking towards the morning? The afternoon was warmer than the morning. Take a moment and note this down if you haven't been already noting it. Pause the video as you need to, and then come back to us. Please copy down the key ideas into your math journals. When solving problems, you may need to decide when to add integers and when to subtract them. You can use word clues to help you decide, words such as increase or decrease, or sum and difference, the words that we discussed on the first slide. Sometimes you may find two correct answers to a subtraction problem depending on the number with which you start, whether you start at the lowest number and look up, or start at the highest number and look down. And each of these answers should lead to the other. They should be opposite integers because the distance between the two numbers doesn't change. What changes is whether you're looking down for a negative number or whether you're looking up for a positive one. Some problems will require you to add some integers and to subtract others in order to actually find the answer to what the question is asking you to do. And finally, word problems require sentence answers with the correct units, not just numbers. Just writing the number in your book is not going to get you a full mark. You need to actually write out the sentence that answers the question that has been asked in the word problem. The Communicate the Ideas questions are here today. Please do those in your math journal. This is the last lesson in this chapter, in this unit. So once you have completed the assignments for this lesson and done your math journal, you should be preparing for the test, and you can come and tell me when you're ready to take it.